Hello everyone, Brad here, coming to you from the future. Hi, so, little bit of a content warning / mental health warning going into this. Blue and I have a discussion on mental health and kind of what's been going on in our lives for the past few weeks. So, if you are sensitive to this topic or just want to skip around it, the times to skip will be between 3 minutes and 15 seconds to 33 minutes and 10 seconds. So just wanted to kind of throw that out there and give y'all a heads up beforehand. Hope you all enjoy. Bye-bye.
Okay, hello everybody! Welcome back to BnB Anime. I am Blue, and today I'm here with the magnanimous? Is that a word? Did I make that up?
I believe you did.
I swear magnanimous is a word. I don't know. It's Brad.
Hi, I'm Brad.
It is you. So yeah, okay. So skipping all the normal things, I was about to tell Brad this story, and then I was like, I suppose I better intro this because this is something that the podcast needs to hear because it's stupid.
Wait. Magnanimous is a word.
It is a word.
However, I did not know that to you, I'm either considered a rival or less powerful person.
Is that what it means?
Generous or forgiving, especially towards a rival or less powerful person.
Yeah, accurate.
I quit. I can't take any more. I can't take any more abuse. I'm done. Okay, story time.
Yes, do a story time. So Brad was just saying, well, I just whacked my chair into my desk. And Brad was saying, we can't have a podcast episode without you injuring something or breaking something. Injuring yourself. I am a something, I suppose, but, you know. And I was saying, I have a stupid story for that. This is the stupid story. I was in the shower the other day, as you tend to be when you're washing yourself. And I was singing, because that is what you tend to do when you're in the shower. Especially me, I can't be in the shower without singing. And I strained my tongue.
I'm sorry, what?
Yeah, I've torn my tongue muscle.
I'm sorry, what?
I don't know how. I guess I was dehydrated, and then having a really hot shower made me more dehydrated. You know how, like, your muscles are easier to, like, tear and stuff when you're dehydrated?
Uh-huh.
I pulled a muscle at the side of my tongue, and so for the past, 4 days, the left side of my tongue hurts.
Hang on, let me set my phone down, just so I can... Actually, you deserve a full round of applause. Let me just...
I was going to say, I think this one's quite impressive, you know? Of all of the ways I've hurt myself in the past, I think this one takes it to new levels.
I am thoroughly impressed. Good on you.
Right? I mean, I'm not saying that I'm proud of myself, but you know, I'm kind of proud of myself.
I don't think I've ever felt so proud and shameful at the same time. Not shameful, ashamed. That's the proper word.
Yeah.
Ding!
But yeah, so if I sound a bit odd on today's recording, yeah, I hurt my tongue.
More odd than usual?
Well, you know.
Love you. So, outside of you breaking yourself again, how are you?
I have had a bit of a rough week.
Mm-hmm.
I was a bit sick over the weekend. I think I caught too much sun.
Mm-hmm.
So I had a bad reaction to being out in the sun because I'm a vampire. And no, I'm just British, so translucent. But yeah, no, I caught the sun a bit much and was feeling really quite rough. So I didn't stream very much last week, and I actually had a really bad day yesterday as well because of my anxiety and depression, which is a light-hearted topic. We love that. Yeah, no, I don't know. I just have recently discovered things about myself and just life that have taken some adjusting, and I've been off of antidepressants for a little over 2 years now.
Mm-hmm.
And I was on them for so long beforehand, from the age of 15 through to 20. So, my entire teenage to adult life at that point, that I am still kind of figuring out how to live without them, which sounds bizarre, I guess, to people who haven't been on mental health meds, because they do change your entire thinking. They change the way your brain works, and they cut off like extreme highs and extreme lows and just leave you with this middle ground of where everything's kind of just like level. Like if you're looking at like audio waves or something, or like a heart monitor, and you just cropped it, so you cut off the top and the bottom, and you just had that like middle section. That's all you're left with emotionally when you're on these kinds of meds. And they do that so that you don't experience the really bad lows. But to not experience the really bad lows, they also have to cut off the really high highs. And so it's quite difficult adjusting to coming off of them. And it's not like I haven't come off of them because I've cured my mental illness. I've come off of them because it's better for me to be able to manage without them, which is an individual case. It's all case by case and person by person. But for me, it was better for me to not be on them and learn other ways of managing them, of managing my symptoms. And I spilled coffee on my skirt.
Oh, poor Blue.
Aww.
You want a hug and a towel to clean up the coffee?
Oh, I'm kind of annoyed about that. This is clean on today. Balls.
So it's clean on today, but is it clean on every other day?
No, it's going to be coffee now.
Bleach it.
Until I wash it again. I am not bleaching this skirt, mister. This is a delicate fabric.
Then just rinse it really delicately.
I will do so. I'll hand wash it later. I'm still grumpy about it. Oh, by the way, that was an ADD moment. My ADD has been insane recently. Everything is going nuts. My entire brain is going nuts. It happens cyclically. Mm-hmm. So I was kind of expecting a dip. I wasn't expecting that kind of a dip. That was... Whoa. But, you know... What can you do, eh? Anyways, so yeah, I've had a bit of a rough patch with my mental health recently. But yeah, yesterday I went for a drive with my mum to try and cheer up a bit. During times like these, it's one of the reasons why I still live at home, is because my mental health is so inconsistent. It's better for me to be around people. Mm-hmm. And so, yeah, so I'm at home, and my mum's kind of used to it because my granddad was a paranoid schizophrenic and he had manic depression as well. So funsies. So my mum's kind of used to it. So when I get in a low or in a panic attack or whatever, she does things to distract me. And one of the ones that she's done since I was very, very small was take me for a drive. And so yesterday when I was feeling really rough, we went for a drive. And that was actually really nice. And I was feeling so, like, anxious when I got in the car. And by the time I got out of the car, I was feeling a lot better. I was still rough, but I woke up this morning and I was feeling not great. So I put on this skirt that I really like, and I put on my butterfly t-shirt because who doesn't love butterflies? And I did my makeup, which I don't normally do during the day. I normally only put makeup on for streaming because I consider it like a work thing. Like I don't like to wear it during the day normally because I don't like the feeling of it on my face very much, but I really like the way that it looks. So I put it on for like when I'm trying to be presentable, if you know what I mean, and then don't wear it most of the other time. So, but I put some on this morning, and then we went out into town and I looked around some of the secondhand shops, and guess what I found in one of them?
Ooh, what did you find?
I found 2 typewriters that I am now seriously considering purchasing.
Violet Evergarden has broken you.
It genuinely has, because one of them I wouldn't get because it's stuck. My mum actually learned to type on a typewriter, so she knows about them. Mm-hmm. And so she was helping me with them and helping me look at them and whether they're worth the price, because they're quite expensive. One of them's $100 Canadian and the other one's 120. Mm-hmm. And so they're not cheap. And it wasn't like an antique shop or a vintage shop. It was just a secondhand shop. And one of them's like stuck. It gets to a certain point, it's got a jam in it somewhere, so I'd have to take it apart and have a look at the mechanisms, but you can't really do that when you're in a secondhand shop. So I just kind of eliminated that one. That was also the most expensive one. So now I was left with this other one. It was $100. It comes with its case, and it's quite travel friendly, and I was like, oh, maybe I should get that. Maybe I should get it. Because I don't normally get things for myself, so I thought, well, maybe I'll spoil myself. Mm-hmm. But it's quite 80s, and I think I want something a little bit more retro. Because it looks almost like early keyboards.
Ah, so it's like one of the smaller, more like parallel ones, I guess.
Yeah. And I'm okay with that one. I'm okay with it being smaller because I think that'd be really useful for like traveling, because yes, I would be that kind of person to take it in the van. I don't know if I've mentioned it on the podcast. I probably have. My parents have a Volkswagen van.
Mm-hmm.
And I would be that girl to take the typewriter in antique van, in a vintage van, and get like, I don't know, go for a picnic somewhere and just stop for a picnic and then just write a letter. Like, that would be me. I would do that. I have done things like that before. I mean, just for every day, I'm a weird person. I write with a fountain pen on a daily basis. It's just what I write with all the time. I don't write with, like, biros or, you know, other pens. Brad knows this.
Yes.
I am an odd person, and I feel like I would be that girl to just have a typewriter. And I kind of want that. I kind of want to live that life. I want to be that person who has a typewriter.
You see, maybe it's just how well I know you at this point, but you're sitting here talking about this and you're talking about how it's odd, and I'm just like, no, it's you at this point.
Yeah, not for me.
Like,
it's odd for everyone else, but for me it's completely normal.
Well, no,
yeah.
It's like just... because at this point, I talk to you more than I talk to most other human beings. So I'm just like, it's become like a new level of normal for me.
It's going to take a lot to surprise you now. I think things that will surprise you now are going to be like, this person they write notes on like their phone or something, rather than carrying around a leather notebook like I do because I'm bizarre.
I'm sorry, what? Are you throwing shade at me being odd?
I am throwing shade at you because you're a 21st century technologically advanced person, and I'm here trying to figure out how to plug two cables in together.
Mate, you're younger than I am.
I'm broken.
You're right, but you're still younger than I am.
That's true. That is true. I think it's just that I have so little cares. I was going to say, I can swear. I am allowed to swear on this podcast.
Yes, because that's totally not what comes out of my mouth 90% of the time.
I still censor myself.
I don't understand why, because I feel like I don't know, I get the most laughs out of you whenever you're at your sweariest. Like whenever we're bullshitting before we hit the record button. Like that's one of the most like enjoyable bits about these recording sessions. And I'm sad they don't get recorded because that's the bits that I want to keep.
Yeah, that's why I said that we ought to record early, because I had this stupid story about the fact that I strained my tongue.
Oh, you poor broken soul.
I'm such a... Weird things happen to me, and I don't know why. I just have an energy of attracting the odd.
So, question.
Yes.
Have you seen the Disney film Holes?
Like, the Lewis Satcher book turned movie with Shia LaBeouf?
Yes.
Yes, I have.
So, has somebody in your family, did they not carry Madame Zeroni up the mountain? Are you just cursed for all generations?
I think that is very possible.
Okay, that's just me trying to figure out your bad fortune and all this. That's the best I can do.
Very, yeah, it's very possible. I do not know. I would have to get arrested for stealing some shoes, though, to be able to figure that out. Although, except for the fact that I wouldn't go to a juvenile detention centre, I would just go to prison.
You would get the guys on mooses coming to pick you up, is what you're saying.
I love the idea of the Royal Mounted Police just riding a moose.
They just pull up to your house. Hey, hop on.
But they are mounted. That is RCMP. That's what it stands for. Mm-hmm. Royal Canadian Mounted Police. Because they ride moose, not horses. And beavers.
Sometimes I'm really sad that we don't record facial expressions. Because I just went blank before. Like, it's like you stop a video and you just get that buffering symbol. Like, my brain is just trying to process
what was just
said.
That is the biggest mosquito I've ever seen in my life. What? How big is that? I'm sorry, I need to find something to I have a book. Oh shit, I missed. I'm gonna get you. Aha! Ooh, God, that went big splat. Oh my god, I'm sorry, book. Oh, I got a gross stain on my book now. I like this book. I didn't even think about it. You know it's bad when it turns to be English. God. I've got goop on my wall now. You better not have already sucked my blood, you little... Yeah, I've got a smudge on my wall now. A big brown shit stain. Fucking hell.
I am so glad I edit this. Because every bit of that's being left.
Sorry. I'm sorry. I'm with you now. I'm back.
Are you? Did you
I'm not kidding, though. That was huge. Genuinely huge.
Mate.
Its body was probably the size of a Tic Tac, and its legs probably the size of, quarter.
That's a giant mosquito for you.
I live in Canada, okay? They only exist for 3 seconds.
I can't. I can't with you. I'm sitting here in this rant, and I'm imagining the biggest mosquito I've ever seen in my life. And here, I've seen mosquitoes get as big as a fucking softball, okay? That's
fucking
how round
mate.
They get. And you're freaking out over a mosquito the size of a quarter.
It's big, okay? That is big. And I wasn't expecting it to splat that much.
I mean, you smooshed it with a flat object.
Yeah, but normally when you, clap them, then they end up as just little tiny, body. I suppose you just kind of stun them to death. As opposed to that, I, fully smushed it.
Yeah, you just full-on smooshed it. All Might would be proud of that. I just want you to know that.
Ah, that's good.
All Might
I donated blood
approves.
Today.
Look at you go. I remember you telling me you're doing that this week, because you said this week's episode might be fun.
Yeah. It went a lot better than last time. Last time, I don't know if I definitely said it on the podcast that they put the blood pressure bandage on too tight. Well, they didn't. Well, they did put it on too tight, but also because I'm an anxious little bean, I can't say, oh, it's too tight, I can't feel my fingers. And so then it took me 15 minutes to bleed because it was just too tight. It wouldn't come through. So then she comes over to check on me. She's like, you're taking a long time to bleed. And I'm like, yeah, my fingers have gone a bit tingly. And she goes, oh, the blood pressure bandage is probably on too tight. Let me release that a little bit. And then my blood just went whoosh out of all of my veins. And then she took it all off and I had these massive bruises all down my arm, these blood blisters from where it was on too tight. I do bruise incredibly easily, but it was also my fault for not just being like, excuse me, it's on a bit tight, because I can't articulate. So
I like how proper you just got there all of a sudden. Excuse me.
Excuse me. I do that though. You'll hear me talk like this when I'm with friends and that. But I talk to other people. I talk to people that I don't know, or people that are older than me and that. And I turn into full-on Hermione Granger. It's hilarious. I don't know why I do it. I cannot control it. I genuinely think it's a school programming from being in primary school in the UK. Of them being speak properly to your elders, speak properly to your teacher, put your hand up, say miss when you're addressing your teacher. It's and because of that, it's still in my brain.
Well, I mean, and so that's similar to how we are here as far as how we speak and whatnot. Now, granted, all of our shit sounds like this, and we like to say y'all and cornbread and biscuits and all that other stuff, but...
Excuse me, ma'am.
Yeah, excuse me, madam.
I always get so confused when people call me ma'am, because I'm like, what?
So, one of our contractors that's actually a good friend of mine called me sir the other day, and I was just like, you shut your mouth. Don't you ever call me that again.
It's odd, isn't it? It's really weird.
It's anytime any of my, really good friends that know me as Brad or Carter, or in the case of one of my best friends, they know me as Bradford.
Mm-hmm.
So, anytime any of them call me Bradley, it just sounds like the biggest cuss word I have ever heard in my entire life. I legitimately cringe.
Yeah, no, I full on get that as well, because obviously, my given name isn't Blue.
It's not.
It's not? No, it's not.
Biggest anime betrayals live on podcast.
I know. But it's a nickname that I've had since I was 15, 16 years old. And everyone other than my immediate family, and I'm including all of my friends in real life, like everyone since that moment in high school, even people that I had gone to school with before that moment, like people that I'd gone to middle school with and stuff, ever since that particular moment in high school, when I was called Blue for the first time, every one of them just adopted it. And now it's like, if I'm called by my given name, and you're not my family, it's odd. It's really weird.
I'm sure for you, even more so, like it's much more of a cringe moment.
Yeah. I actually prefer it being called Blue because my given name doesn't have any like hard sounds in it. So I hear it everywhere. Like just when people are like mumbling out in the street, it always sounds like my name.
Mm-hmm.
And so for like the first 15 years of my life, I would just be walking down the street and think that people were talking to me all the time. Like all the time. And it was really difficult. Like, I'm not going to lie. It's not fun.
Well,
I feel like anyone who...
I grew up in Bradley County. There's a high school here called Bradley High School, which I didn't go to, by the way. So my entire life, I've had to, like, listen to people talk about Bradley and me just, like, turn my head and be like, what? What are you talking about?
There's a city out here that's the same name as my given name as well. So if you do some Googling, you might be able to discover it, figure it out. But, yeah, no.
Name redacted.
Right, yeah. No, I don't mind if people find out about, if you guys find out about my first name, but it would be very odd if you started calling me it. Because, yeah, no, odd. That is reserved for family.
Well, it's like those random tangents where especially on stream, where you'll call me Bradley. I guess to try to get under my skin, I'm just like, don't make me.
Don't make me. I will call. I have the revenge.
I do have the revenge. I have
the Uno reversed.
And yet I've never dropped that card on you.
You haven't. When you do for the first time, you're going to just see like sheer stun on my face. It's going to be, I'm going to like have to take a second to figure out what's going on.
I hope it happens on stream because I'm going to use like the Twitch highlight thingy. Just to like really just clap attention to it.
But yeah, today we're actually discussing.
Well, you discovered it. You discovered it today, yesterday. When did you watch it?
I watched it today after I got home.
I am very excited to hear your thoughts on this because I went to go see this in theaters in January and I absolutely adored it. I remember messaging Blue after I got out of theaters. I was just like, oh my God.
Mm-hmm.
This is truly a masterpiece as far as animation is concerned. Like, there is nothing on the market that can outclass the animation that's in this, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
it's very beautiful.
Like, as somebody who does digital art and everything, I was basically just drooling all during this film. Every time I've watched it.
Yeah, there's a couple specific parts of the animation that I want to bring up with you. But before we fully get into all of that, I've discussed my week, but how have you been?
Very similar to yours. So I'm very much like you. Like, since I was about 14, I've been dealing with very severe anxiety and depression. And I'm not going to go into the whole backstory of what happened 10 years ago, because I'm not in the mood to discuss that heavy. On podcast. And we don't get that heavy around here, or I try not to.
No. Mm-hmm.
But anyway, so I've been dealing with that. And ever since I've moved back, for very specific reasons or the other, I've been getting back kind of in that hole, and I've been trying to do everything I can to get out of it. And this past week, I've been, so especially for the past like couple weeks, I've been very much getting back in that hole of, and I'm talking about the deep hole that I was in about a decade ago. Mm-hmm. And so I've never been so tired in my life. Like, the face that I've put on at work, and especially around friends and family and everything. Like, I can't remember the last time I was this exhausted from trying to seem happy and everything else going on. It's been, oh boy. But that's why, I'm very thankful for this podcast and everything else, because it gives me a time to just sit down and talk about things that I really enjoy. And especially this topic, it was just, it came at a perfect time. I needed this more than anything. I needed to just be able to sit down for about 4 hours in total between both watchings of this film and just kind of step away and just be transported into a world of just, it is so needed. I loved it so much. But
yeah, agreed.
Yeah, so without rehashing a lot of what you said, it's been a week, but life gets better, it goes on, and eventually I will dig myself out of this fucking hole.
That's the thing, is that the times that we go through like this are so crap, and it's really easy to get absorbed in that. And of course you need to feel those feelings, like those feelings that you go through when you're having a down day. You need to feel them. Like they're there for a reason. But you just can't dwell on them. And that effort it takes to say, okay, I felt this and I'm done with this feeling now. Let's move on. That amount of effort is unprecedented. I don't think I've ever experienced anything that is as difficult as being like, okay, felt this emotion, I'm good with it. Let's move on now. Like that. And it's a conscious decision. You have to do that consciously. It's not something that you can just do subconsciously and just be like, well, I'll get over it at some point. Because if you do that, it's just going to keep coming back and you're going to have to keep facing it again. And it gets exhausting. And you have to just put stuff behind you actively. It's a lot.
And it's one of those things to where every case is different. Everybody has to kind of deal with everything in their own way. I tried the medication route, and it's what drove me to the event of a decade ago. So it's been me just learning how to deal with it without it. And so I'm very much aware of what's kind of dragging me down and kind of putting me into this point. And so therefore, I'm somewhat aware of what it's going to take to get me out of it. And I know a lot of it just takes time, and really, I'm doing everything that I can right now to try to dig myself out of it, surrounding myself with friends, doing things that I enjoy. I've watched so much anime. But
I've done quite a lot of painting.
You have. Dear Lord. Like, to those who aren't aware of Blue's art, go check out her Instagram for a lot of this stuff, especially her paintings. My goodness. Or her Discord. Links on the website. Go look at the shit. It's... like, you and your art, especially for somebody that stepped away from it for so long, just continue to absolutely blow me away in every way imaginable. Especially your painting. Like, my goodness, that is... I know I talked about being able to paint, but... fam.
That's really sweet of you. Yeah, no, I've been using art therapy a lot recently, and I've really been enjoying it. I haven't painted since I was like 17. I don't know, a long time ago. I do sketches, but yeah, no, I've just been enjoying doing it, and I've been turning them into TikToks, which is hilarious for me because the audio that you can use to put over them is just freaking funny. So I did this one of a pelican yesterday. And I used this audio of Hank Green talking about the fact that he found an account on TikTok that is birds aren't real conspiracy theorists. He posted one video like 3 days ago and has like thousands of followers. And so it's just the audio of him just like marveling at the fact that this account that's a conspiracy theory account about birds aren't real has posted one video and has got so many followers. And that audio made me laugh so much that it inspired me to do a painting. And so I painted a bird, a pelican, and then put that audio over the top. And so it's a really nice, I think it's a nice video of a bird being painted and then just this audio of a guy ranting about the fact that there's a Birds Aren't Real conspiracy theory page that has a bunch of followers, and it makes me laugh a lot.
So there's a lot of conspiracy theories I can get behind. But I have never facepalmed so hard until a friend of mine, you know who you are, because you listened to this, told me about this. I just...
Yeah, they're government spies. Didn't you know that?
Yeah, and that's the thing. That's why COVID happened. And that's why they've been putting people in their homes. They gotta change the fucking batteries. A conspiracy inside of a conspiracy, because why not?
It's class. That was class. It makes me laugh so much.
It does. Like, I'm so tickled by that being a legitimate thing. I can't. Oh, but, and I'm sure with all the stuff that you've, like with the carpal tunnel and everything, I'm sure painting has probably been a little bit easier on you than actually sketching for hours.
Yeah, well, each painting takes me probably 2 to 3 hours, whereas my sketches can take anywhere from between 5 to about 9, usually around 7 hours.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's a lot faster and a lot less intricate, a lot less strokes.
Mm-hmm.
And because I also take breaks to let things dry with the painting as well, I'm also giving my wrist a chance to heal. I did attempt to paint while wearing my wrist brace, but I just got my wrist brace covered in paint.
Welcome to my world, where everything is absolutely fucking covered in paint. Yep.
Yeah, I've got a wooden desk that I do all my paintings on, and I've decided that I'm not going to clean it off anymore. I'm just going to let it slowly get covered in paint. And I'm really liking how it's turning out so far, and I'm excited to see it in like 6 months from now. Just be like bits of wood peeking through every now and again, but the rest of it is just sheer paint.
You're gonna have to make a time lapse, like every time after you're done painting, take a photo of it.
Oh, that's such a good idea. And just
slowly over time, just like get to... And you can just make a time-lapse footage out of it. I think that would be nifty.
That is such a good idea. I'll have to do that.
Haha, sometimes I have good ideas.
You do. You do.
Very few and far between.
We got so distracted then.
Did we?
I have no clue what we were talking about. That we had a story that we were telling.
Story? We were telling a story? Back to the point I was making that I can remember. I don't know. But to anybody who deals with this shit, no, you're not alone by any means. My mailbox is always open. DMs is always open. If you need help or just somebody to talk to, your boy is here.
Absolutely. And there are specific hotlines with trained people, and those people are very nice, I promise. And if you feel like you need to call someone, you just go ahead and do it. Like there's no pressure on it, you know? You can hang up at any point if you feel uncomfortable or anything. You know, I feel like there's a lot of stigma around it. And there shouldn't be. So if you need to just ring someone, have someone to talk to you, you don't have to be feeling really, 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 really bad to call. You know, you can be feeling that, but you can also just be feeling a bit down. They are there for that as well. You know? So I feel like in our heads we put it as like, oh, well, I'm not at that point yet, so I can't call. It's like, yes, you can. You can still call. You are allowed to, and they would ask you to.
And honestly, it takes more courage to reach out and ask for help than it does to try to deal with it on your own as well. So never be afraid to reach out for help, because it doesn't make you a coward. It doesn't make you scared of what's going on. Like, it's something that needs to be addressed. Like, you never have to fight it alone. So
100%.
Find your support system in whatever it needs to be. And yeah, your boy is always here. That's it. That's all I got.
News?
Do we have news? I'm just kidding. I always have news.
You always have news.
Of course. That should be a soundbite. News!
News?
I don't know.
News?
News.
I feel like that could very easily be switched into nudes, and then this would be a whole different topic.
The 7 Deadly Sins, Dragon's Judgment has officially been postponed to January of 2021.
Oh, okay.
But on the bright side, they got a new visual for it, so that's good.
I'm quite pleased that things are getting properly postponed, because I don't want them to rush things and then they end up being crap. I'd rather wait that little bit longer, you know?
And I feel like Japan is slowly transitioning to a format of being able to, like, work from home. And so, of course, after watching the Dr. Stone behind-the-scenes thing, like, we know kind of the process that goes into it, so it's kind of easy to understand why it would take longer because of that, because not everybody's in the office to where you can just, like, immediately do, like, the in-between frame sketches and everything else, so it's going to take time.
Mm-hmm.
But...
yeah, and Japanese homes are so small, and they need so much equipment to be able to do all of that work in their homes. That I bet there are some, like, sketch artists and that are having to actually move house to be able to accommodate working from home.
Oh, I don't doubt that at all, because I think a lot of, like, housing, especially in Tokyo, is all, like, studio apartments.
Mm-hmm.
So, especially if the studios allowed the workers to take stuff home, like all the new equipment and stuff home, oh boy, that'd be something.
Mm-hmm.
But I do think it's a good thing of being able to, like, work from home, do stuff like that, because once everything gets, like, back up and up to full speed, I think it would be easier for the employees themselves to be able to, I mean, for one, spend more time at home, because I know for a while there was a controversy of overtime and whatnot, people not being able to see their families.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that overall it'll be a good thing in the long run for all of that to go towards that style of work outside of like vocal recording booths and everything else, because I know those studios are specifically designed for stuff like that. Or at least the image that I saw for Bones for My Hero, like, that's a really nice studio, so that needs to be used.
Yeah, but my mum was saying earlier today that the local healthcare folk are all saying that it's going to take probably about 3 years for us to no longer have to wear masks when we go out in public and stuff. For all this to settle down. So we're in it for the long haul, you know? So we need to fully establish the way things are going, because it's not going to be like, oh, in 6 months' time we're all back to normal, like we thought when it was first starting. This is a long-term thing. So,
but we've also been saying this from the beginning of the podcast about how if the rest of the world just adopted the Japanese way of wearing masks out in public, even whenever you think you're sick, and went to bowing instead of shaking hands and all this other stuff, that a lot of this could be, you know, fixed in some shape, form, or fashion, or at least be, you know, slowed down and minimized.
Yeah.
So it's definitely something to think about and look forward at for going in the future.
The bizarre thing is that it did used to be part of our culture. For instance, during a time when scarlet fever was rampant, it was illegal to go outside without wearing a mask. And in America, you know, in places where now people are refusing to do so. There were these laws. It was part of our culture to wear masks. It was part of our culture to bow and curtsy. And so it's only very recently that those things have become not part of our culture anymore. So we're only kind of reverting back to the way things used to be. It's not like we're creating anything new.
But it's definitely something that I think needs to stick around, because especially with me living in the South here, like, I can attest to people, like, I don't understand why you wouldn't want to wear a mask. Like, it doesn't, I don't know, like, it doesn't make sense why you wouldn't. Like, what are you losing? Unless you have a legitimate illness that keeps you from not wearing it, I don't see why.
But then those are the specific people that we need to be wearing a mask for.
Exactly. You know, so if you're not doing it for yourself, do it for those who can't actually wear one.
Yeah, legitimately, not because they have a slight tickle in their throat. Shade.
Look, man. I don't know.
Anyway, more news. We got distracted again.
Did we?
Just a little bit.
So, J-Rock band Scandal postpones North American tour to November of 2021.
Oh.
So, I've never listened to this band as much J-pop and J-rock as I listen to on a regular basis, although I might want to check them out because they are coming to Atlanta. So
nice.
I am very interested. But also other tour stops that they're going to be making. Toronto, New York, Anaheim, and Dallas.
Of course.
Close to you, but not that close.
Close to me, but probably about a 5-hour flight away. I actually don't know how long a flight to Toronto is from Alberta.
Can you take a train?
No. There is a train track. There is a Trans-Canada train, but it is, I believe, just for cargo.
See, because
and it would take days.
Well, I was just sitting here thinking, I was like, that would be a really cool trip across Canada, like taking a train.
I think there is a train that you can take across Canada, like a carriage train. I've never seen it myself. I think there is one. I'd love to do that if there is. That would be amazing.
I think that would be really cool. We should look into this because I feel like that'd be a good podcast trip.
It would be amazing.
Yes.
Oh, then we could do one from Europe, and then we could do one across Japan.
And then they have one in America, too.
Where does it go from?
I think it goes all the way across the country, if I'm not mistaken.
Nice. I want to do Route 66 in this state.
That would be a really cool trip, too, honestly.
It'd be super fun.
We're actually taking a trip this weekend hiking up to North Carolina.
Oh, fun.
That'll be a fun trip. I have actually never been hiking.
Have you not?
I've legitimately never been hiking. Like, we're surrounded by, like, beautiful waterfalls and sights, and yet I've never been.
My biggest tip, take a spare pair of socks.
You see, I've actually had to change my socks to, like, I've actually converted to a bamboo style sock.
Mm-hmm.
So they're actually really good at, like, keeping my feet dry and everything else.
Mm. Yeah, I'd still recommend taking a backup pair, though. And make sure you wear shoes that you've worn for long periods of time before.
Mm.
Don't go hiking on a new pair of shoes.
Oh, definitely not.
No. I think those are my biggest tips. Yeah, I know this from experience, having fallen over and bashed my knees many a time. I was actually talking about this with my mum the other day. This is another tangent. Oh my god, we're just going on. This is Tangent Podcast today. Yes. I was talking about this with my mum the other day. I can't tell on my knees, genuinely cannot tell my knees, what part of my knee is scar and what part of my knee is not scar.
Mm.
Because, just, like, not because I've, like, done anything, like, specifically really bad. Just from falling over and scraping, I scar really easily. And it's just from falling over and scraping my knees, just being a kid, you know? Just... And then a clumsy adult. Like, it's not like I've done anything specifically bad. But because of that, they're all teeny tiny little scars. And they just, like, I don't know. It's hard. I look at them and I'm like, I don't know if that's scar or skin. Or skin scar. Scar, skin. I don't know.
I need to just clip that. I have a scar on my thumb.
From a thorn. You have a scar on your thumb? I have a scar on my thumb.
Mine was from having a knife blade snap back on me.
That's fun. I don't know why I got mine.
But what's this about a scar from a thorn?
Oh, yeah. On my left leg, just above my knee, on the far side, on the left side, on the outside, I have this little nick. It's like a indent scar, like a poke and pull. You know, like a thorn. You know, poked and pull. And I was wearing my good pair of jeans. For those, I think the podcast knows, I'm quite tall. I'm 5'9", despite what Brad says. I'm quite tall.
Small bean.
He's a giant, so he makes me look small. But I promise I'm quite tall. And it's very hard for me to find jeans. I was wearing my good pair of jeans that fit in the length. They fit in the waist. They fit around my bum. They were my favourite jeans. I loved them so much. They weren't even that expensive. I wore them all the time. And I wore them when my family and I just decided to drive out for a picnic. And so we parked up in this little area. It's just a foresty area with a couple of benches. And we took the dogs. And I decide that I want to walk down this little pathway to get to the river with my golden retriever so that I can throw the tennis ball into the water so that she can go swimming. And as I was walking, I just walked past a bush. It scraped my leg and it ripped my jeans. And I was so devastated about the fact that it ripped my jeans. And I was angry and I was upset and I was talking to my mum and I was ranting for like 20 minutes about the fact that it ripped my jeans. I was so mad. I didn't even notice that I was bleeding quite badly from the area where it had ripped my jeans because it had also cut me, torn my flesh. I didn't notice, didn't feel any pain. Was so mad about my jeans ripping. Didn't notice at all. Looked down. My jeans are now not just ripped, but also covered in blood.
You mad, bro?
I was furious. I was fuming. And it's scarred. So I now have a fun scar to tell that story. But that's genuinely how easy I scar. Like, I scar from a thorn scratch.
You just, like, I made that wrap command on your stream for a reason. Like, we need to keep you covered in bubble wrap.
Yeah. My biggest scar, funnily enough, is from a dog's claw. It wasn't particularly sharp. It wasn't particularly pressed hard. The dog was not being aggressive. The dog just put its paw on my leg, pulled its paw away, its claw just caught me at the wrong angle, scraped my leg, it's scarred.
I have a piece of pencil lead stuck in my leg.
Oh, fun! I have a piece of glass in my foot.
Oh, look at us. And I honestly think you're the first person that I've ever told that to.
People know about the glass in my foot story, because I get to blame my brother for it.
Uni-chan's fault.
Mm-hmm.
That was a tangent.
That was a tangent. We'll have to do a specific Scar Stories podcast at some point, because, I have many.
Yeah, honestly, we just need to have a podcast of us just shooting the shit that we upload every now and again.
Right, yeah. Just a month's review.
Coming soon.
Coming soon.
So, next piece of news. My Hero Academia is getting a 2-part OVA release this month.
I bet you're excited about that.
I am so excited. You should be excited as well, but you don't like being caught up on all the good shows.
I'm sorry. I will get more caught up because I have more time on my hands now.
That, and I also have it on the list to cover. Because since Food Wars did well, I think we can start pressing into other shows. Oh, by the way, guess what I started today?
What?
You'll never guess, but think real long and hard about it.
Digimon. Digital monsters.
No, it's not Pokemon. Get that away from me. No, but I have seen Digimon, but that was my childhood.
No, I don't know. What?
Of all the shows that you've tried to get me to watch, just think of the one. I've already started that.
Oh, Prince of Tennis?
There you go.
What do you think?
I enjoyed it for the first episode that I watched.
It's so dramatic. It's so dramatic.
Although I'm disappointed that Hulu only has the first season.
Rude.
So they only have the first 100 episodes. They don't have the other 78. I don't know where I'm going to find those.
Well, once you get through the first 100, I'm sure I can find them for you.
Actually, they have the sub and the dub, so I think that means Hulu only has the first 50.
Oh. Are you watching subbed or dubbed? I've never seen it dubbed. I do not know what it's like.
I only watched the first episode dubbed because I was with company at the time, and I can't go full weeb around company, which I'm sure you noticed, because if you watch the version of Weathering With You that I bought, it's the dub version.
No, I watched it elsewhere. And watched it subbed.
Boo.
Hey, don't boo me. I watch everything subbed.
I'm booing you for your method of watching.
Well,
I try to buy us nice things and you don't appreciate it.
I do appreciate it, and I will probably watch it later dubbed just to see what it's like. But the first time I watch anime, I do like to watch it subbed.
Lies and slander. Anyway. But yeah, dub wasn't bad. I'm probably going to start it subbed whenever I get a little bit more time on my hands, because I've been watching so much other shit.
Yeah, it's a really good filler. I will say that. If you watch it all in one chunk, it could get quite tedious, I feel like. So having it spaced out between other things is just like a filler one that you can turn to, because there's not really too much of a consecutive plot line. So you're able to take breaks from it and still kind of return back to it and understand what's going on if you forget about previous events.
Yeah, I'm gonna try to get some more of it done. Of course, I'll keep you updated as I watch.
Yes, you better. It's like the best thing I've ever seen. I love it so much. It's so stupid, and I think it's fantastic.
I'm gonna pull the dive with you though. Do you like it? No, I hate it.
No, don't do that to me. I like it. I fully love it, knowing that it's not the best anime in the world. You know, it's one of those ones that is. I just love it. I think it's amazing, but it's not, you know, a masterpiece. The animation isn't masterful. The music isn't masterful. The script isn't masterful. Nothing about it is fantastic. But the whole thing all put together with its dramatics, it's fantastic. I love it. I think it's great.
I don't know. Since I'm getting into tennis, I figured it was time to give it a shot, or at least to watch the first episode just to get the squee out of you, I guess. I don't know. But
are you satisfied with my reaction?
I am.
Good.
Now, if only I could get you to take my recommendations. Shade.
Oh, yeah, big shade.
Yeah, big shade.
Big shade.
But what am I good for if not to throw shade?
You a parasol.
What?
Parasol.
What about a parasol?
You throw shade.
Oh, big brain.
Yeah.
Me big tongue. Why is that so funny? I must be tired.
It was a really stupid joke and you didn't get it and it made me laugh.
I'm laughing that I didn't get it. Oh, big broken brain. Anyway, but yeah, I'm looking forward to the 2 OVA episodes. I think it's going to be good.
Oh, right, yeah.
It's taking place in the 3rd season, right after they did the provisional licensing exams.
Mm-hmm.
Because you haven't seen any of season 4, have you?
No.
Okay. So, but you've seen through season 3, so therefore that's not throwing spoilers anywhere. But yeah,
for those at home,
I mean, it's a show about heroes that have to get, like, they have to go to school to be heroes and get licenses. So therefore, it's not.
It's not a spoiler, no.
No, not in the slightest. But so, and apparently it's some of the class 1A. It's not all of them. They're going through survival training on an island.
Oh, okay.
So I think it's going to be really interesting to sit back and watch.
Mm-hmm.
And especially with the new film coming out sometime in the near future as well. I'm looking forward to that because I didn't get the chance to go see it in theaters. So I think that's going to be a blast.
Mm-hmm.
I just love My Hero. Like, it's so good.
Sorry, I just didn't imagine you were talking about My Hero Academia then for a second. I thought you were just like, I just love My Hero. And there's just a man standing in your room in, like, the superhero pose with this bare chest on show. You're just, like, looking at him swooning. I love My Hero. That's what I had pictured in my head when you said that then.
But if you take your answer on who my hero was the other night on your podcast, then that would make you my hero.
Oh, well, I hope my bare chest isn't showing then. Jeez.
As I was like, I'm surprised you're not retracting your statement. Either that or you just forgot that you said that the other night.
I completely forgot about that. Yeah, that escaped from my brain.
Now, anytime I hear the word hero, I just gotta imagine you going, I am here.
I am here. I am your hero.
Now I'm gonna need you to cosplay as All Might, please.
Oh, speaking of cosplay, I want to cosplay from this. I'll talk about, I don't know why I just brought it up now, but Hina from this, I think it would be so cool to do a body paint of her, like when she's like translucent.
Oh, that would be sick.
Wouldn't it be sick? Like just her in her regular clothes and then go to a convention and you've got body painted, the like, oh, it would be so cool.
Oh, that would be really cool. That, and I want to see you like, because I think you could pull it off in one of your paintings, like do that sort of like translucent in something or on something. Mm-hmm. Like that would be sick.
It would be amazing.
But where was I going with that?
Cosplay. What? I don't know. What's the next piece of news?
So last, but certainly not least, in fact, it is the best. We got a trailer for the new Demon Slayer film.
Ooh, such excite.
I am so hyped. Did I send it to you?
No.
Damn it. I sent it to literally everyone else. I'm hyped for this. I'm so hyped.
All by myself.
I mean, you're the one who decided to move to the middle of nowhere, Canada. So,
hey, I didn't decide that. I was just dragged along.
Don't make excuses.
At least we're on a closer time zone than we would have been if I lived in the UK.
That would have made recording these things a lot harder. Because instead of me being the one that's ahead, you would be the one that's ahead.
Yeah, by 4 hours.
But then again, I think that we could have made it work either way, honestly, because the way our sleep schedules are fucked up.
But there's no way that I'd have been able to have an at-home studio. Do you know how big English houses are?
No, I'm waiting for some sort of comparison.
Okay, fine, comparison. English houses are probably...
Nah, too late, joke's done, we're past that.
Fine.
No, I want the comparison. No,
all
I don't.
English houses can fit inside of a teacup. It's mandatory. Satisfied?
Yes. Yes, I am.
Brilliant.
But wouldn't that be cruelty?
Hey, if you smoke marijuana, is that a teapot? Swiftly moving on.
I'm not okay.
I'm not okay.
Oh, but yeah, I can't contain my excitement for this. Demon Slayer was so good. I think it was by far my anime of 2019. And the fact that Lisa, who did Gringe, is doing the title theme for this film too, I am so hyped. The story behind it looks great. The animation looks sick. I'm so excited. But I'm also getting, like, I feel like the story writers collabed between ReZero and this one.
Mm-hmm.
Because it seems like the overall premise of this film is the demon who was left standing out of the lower 12.
Mm-hmm.
Because I don't know if you remember that scene, but where Kibutsuji, like, destroys the rest of the lower 12, but leaves that one left standing.
Mm-hmm.
He's the main villain in this one. It seems like he has the ability to manipulate dreams.
Mm-hmm.
And so Tanjiro was thrown into a dream that he thinks is real, but his family is alive.
Oh.
And so I'm watching this, I was like, oh, sadness. But then I was like, oh shit, ReZero. Oh fuck.
Yeah.
I got too excited and choked on myself. Hang on.
Oh my god, don't say it like that. Don't praise it like that.
Again, brain, gutter. Get it out.
Yeah, my brain is fully in the gutter, okay?
Obviously. Anyway.
I claim to be a lady, but I ain't.
What was that English? I'm clipping that. Actually, that's going in the Discord tonight.
Yeah, I don't know. That's how I talk, innit?
I love it. 100. Don't ever change. You're perfect the way you are. Don't ever change.
That's sweet of you.
But anyway, ReZero. What was this episode?
I don't know. What was it?
I sat down and was talking with Walker about it because I've been trying to get Walker to watch ReZero with me ever since I first started watching the show years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And I was talking to him about it after it ended. And I was just like, what the fuck? Because we had a return of a character in this one that we haven't seen since like the 3rd or 4th episode.
Oh, okay.
Do you remember the Bow Lady? The one that cut open Subaru in like the first couple of episodes?
Yeah.
She's back.
Ah, savior of the universe.
Destroyer of the universe, more like it.
I don't know why that sounded like Flash. You just said she's back, and it just took me to Queen. I constantly have the radio playing in my head. Do you know that?
I also have one constantly playing in my head. It's like permanently stuck to J-pop, and I feel like all day it's just been Gringe playing through my head. It's just been like a constant bob to that all day.
Nice.
Except while I've been watching Weathering with You. The soundtrack for this film is so good.
Mm-hmm. I can't stay on one song for longer than about a verse before my brain skips to another one. Because that's on ADD.
So this past weekend, because I know you and I had talked about recording Saturday, and then we didn't. And so Saturday, we went down to Kennesaw, which is just north of Atlanta, which, to put into perspective, is about an hour and 45 minutes south. Since I know these towns I'm speaking of mean absolutely nothing to you.
Yeah, I have no clue.
Yeah. So anyway, Abby was driving us, or not Abby, Walker was driving us down, and Abby, Walker's wife, Bree, and our buddy Denny were in the back. And the whole way down, I shit you not, I don't think we got through a single fucking song. The whole way.
Yeah. Yeah, that's
like
my
we would
head.
get a verse and maybe a chorus through, and then immediately the next song. It's just like I wish I had brought my headphones. I needed anime or something that I could actually finish, because my God. But I had some of the best Mexican food ever on the way back. I'm so content with my life.
Oh, I want Mexican food. Ow.
It was so good. So, speaking of Mexican food, corn or flour tortillas?
I've only had flour, but I am aware that corn is how you're supposed to have them, but I don't think I've ever had one.
Corn is authentic, although, and another reason I'm more of a proponent towards corn rather than flour is because it's healthier. Because flour tortillas are bleached, so therefore I know it's not the healthiest thing to be eating. But for me, also, corn just tastes better. And I used to not be that way. I used to be a flour-only person, but after I had some, like, authentic, like, taco truck tacos, because tacos from a taco truck is the best shit on this planet. And it's also generally cheaper than if you go to a restaurant and get them. Fun fact. But, yeah, like, they're miles better.
Yeah, I need to go down south and experience some authentic ones, because there isn't much authentic Mexican food up here in Canada, at least not where I am. I'm sure if you go to the bigger cities, there's a lot more. But you don't actually see a lot of Latin-originated immigrants coming up this far north. They tend to stay, Latina immigrants tend to stay more in the United States.
Well, I feel like it would be hard for you to find vegetarian, like, authentic Mexican food as well, because they like to use a lot of beef and pork in a lot of what they cut or cook.
Yeah,
not
that's
cut.
true. That's true. Yeah,
So
it's a lot
it would
easier
be-
for me to find things in, like, Indian restaurants.
Because a lot of curry and stuff is vegetarian based. So it's funny, because two of the main foods you want to try are not set for vegetarians. Between Japanese cooking and Mexican food. That's okay, though. I will write you full essays on both.
I appreciate it.
But I think that wraps up news.
Well, that's good.
But
Because
is it,
I'm
though?
tired. No, I'm just kidding.
You know what? I would be tired of me, too. It's okay.
I'm not tired of you. I'm tired of the fact that my arm hurts because I've still got the tape on it from where they put the pressure bandage thing on from the blood donation. And the tape's like pulling at my little tiny arm hairs. And it's, every time I bend my elbow, it pulls.
Okay. I don't want to say I don't want to hear it, but whenever I had that really bad breakout of poison ivy a few weeks ago, I had to put a bandage, like, all over my arm, like, from shoulder down to my wrist.
Ooh.
Pulling that off.
Did you not use a cloth bandage? Or was it stuck because of the seeping?
Both.
Ew.
Like, it had adhesive on it, but also, like, the seeping was just, like, I've never had so much issue trying to pull off bandages between the mixture of hair and... My left arm is shaking thinking about it.
Oh.
It's like, no, not again.
Don't do this to me again. Why are we so hairy? We should just not.
we should just not. Like,
just
oh
not.
my God. Ow.
Oh, wouldn't it be cool if we could, like, shake like dogs do, but instead of to get moisture off, we just shook and all of our hairs flew off?
I mean, anytime I run my fingers through my beard, I lose hair as it is. So I feel like my beard sheds enough for the rest of my body.
My head shares a lot as well. I know it does. It's because you can never stop talking. My hair sheds a lot as well. My head hair goes everywhere. I also have 2 golden retrievers in the house, so we constantly have clumps of fluff everywhere.
Well, I'm also like an extremely hairy human being.
Yeah.
So anytime I get out of the shower and like I see the shower dry, I just see black hair everywhere. And I'm just like, I wish I were blonde.
It doesn't really make much difference.
So did I tell you about me finding a gray hair the other day in my beard?
You did? Oh, you're getting old.
Like, and here's the thing. I recently shaved. It was like a couple days after I shaved, I was combing out my beard as I was drying it. And I was like, wait, what is that? And whenever I say that it's a gray hair, that's an understatement. It was like a pristine white hair. And so me being me, I'm like, I'm not having that shit. And I plucked it.
Oh.
And I have a group chat between me, Walker, his wife, and Abby. Mm-hmm. I snapped a picture of it and was like, guys, it's time. Get the home ready. I need to be admitted. But before I go, here's my will. You can have nothing.
You get nothing. Serious question, though.
Uh-huh.
When you go completely grey, will you grow out a Gandalf beard?
We've already had the discussion of like how I'm going to have like a 6-foot-long beard. Mm-hmm. So, yes.
Will you dye it fun colours?
Also, yes. Here's the thing. As soon as I'm able to leave Sherwin through whatever means, methods, or whatever, I will dye my hair fun things just to do it anyway.
Good.
You would think with me working for a paint company, I could dye my hair. But no, we gotta look professional. Baka! Sorry, that's a rant. Anyway. I dyed my hair once, and ever since then, I've always wanted to dye something else. Since I don't keep the hair on my head anymore, like, the next logical thing for me to dye would be my beard, because why would I dye my arm hairs?
Armpits.
I mean, honestly, I could just, like, dye my chest hair, since I like to go swimming, because that would be a fun thing to just show off.
Turquoise.
Honestly, though, I should just dye it green, then look at people and be like, are you green with envy?
I think people might think it's mold.
I mean, you know.
Then you can say that you adapt to any situation.
It's natural camouflage. Look, I'm auditioning for this role in a film. It's called Grass. I don't know if you've heard of it. But it was a role that was made for me.
You know when you're little and you're in school plays?
Mm-hmm.
And they kind of sign you up for it because everyone in the class has to be a part of them. My brother hated them so much and refused to do them so much that he was cast as a tree. When he was in primary school, they made him be a tree in the school nativity. They were like, no, you can stand in the corner and be a tree.
I had a meme pop up on my Facebook timeline today that I shared like 4 or 5 years ago, and it was about the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. And I wanted to send it to you so bad that I was like, wait, she's never seen it.
This is a story all about how my life got flipped and upside down.
Yes, but that's all you've seen of that or heard.
Yeah. I'd like to take a minute, just sit right there.
Honestly, though, I need to get us an HBO account for the podcast just so I can get you to watch that.
Well, then you have to watch Cory in the House because that is the best anime of all time.
But I've seen Cory in the House.
Me too.
And
Cory
yes,
in the House.
It is one of the best anime of all time.
The best, not one of.
I don't know, man. Like, there's this really old anime. I don't know if you've heard about it, but it's called The Weather Channel.
I thought you were going to say Blue's Clues. I was like, yeah, vibe.
But Blue's Clues is different. Like, have you seen the new Blue's Clues?
No.
Instead of a handy-dandy notebook, this motherfucker has an iPad.
Blasphemy.
It's bullshit. Honestly, though, the only way you can make it better, instead of the red fluffy chair, they have to go with the Iron Throne from Game of Thrones. I would accept this.
Is it just me, or does the Iron Throne seem really uncomfortable?
I mean, I don't know who would want to sit on a bunch of swords, but you know what? Have at it.
Hedgehogs.
You know, I bet everybody would get the point, though, whoever sat on it.
Ha 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 ha.
Aha, punny joke.
Should we get into the background of this? Anyways, we've just been rambling for like an hour and 20. Like, let's chill.
I thought we were chilling.
No, I've been like on edge this whole time, mate.
I thought we were comfortable around one another at this point.
I am probably too comfortable. My skirt matches my pillow. Like, it's the exact same shade of pink.
Oh my god, like that's so
and my headphone
cool.
matches the one butterfly on my t-shirt. Headphone cables.
Awesome. Like,
I'm pretty much entirely in pink right now, except for my socks, which were white at one point.
What are they now?
Dirty.
My socks are black. Like
accurate.
The empty void that's on the inside, they match.
So you could say they match the sole of your foot. Right, so, Weathering with You.
What? So, Weathering with You. Makoto Shinkai. Right?
Yes, Makoto Shinkai.
Senpai! There is a senpai in this.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, I think I have that giant bold letters somewhere, like the video game Senpai acquired. I have that in my notes.
I do that now, ever too. I do that now since Dr. Stone, where they did the acquired. It's become part of my notes now. It's just like whenever somebody gets something, it's now acquired in all of my notes.
I think you do that in like your Minecraft streams and whatnot as well.
I do.
Anytime you get something, you're just like, glass acquired.
Glass acquired.
But
400 meters, turn right.
You have gone too far. Please turn around.
You have gone too far. U-turn. Your destination is appearing on your left.
Turn to page 394.
Turn to page 394.
Honestly, though, could you imagine if Alan Rickman did a GPS?
That would have been amazing.
Like, as Professor Snape, too, of all things. Mm-hmm. That would have been sick. I need this now.
I just like the idea of him in Die Hard doing it like that.
Honestly, though.
As Hans.
Yes, please.
Yeah, that would be amazing.
Where were we going with this? Oh, yeah.
Background.
Weathering with You. Makoto Shinkai.
Mm-hmm.
That's all you need to know.
Yeah, pretty much.
It's like, if you want to hear the full breakdown about all of this, go listen to Your Name, where we go full in depth with the studio.
Mm-hmm.
Although, so good.
So good. So, it's, 112 minutes long. It is a film, not a series. A film.
Yes, a film.
A film.
One must go to the cinema to experience this. Yeah. Although it is now available digitally and will be available on DVD and Blu-ray on September 15th.
Mm-hmm. Which is why we are covering it right now, so that you can get your grubby little mitts on it.
Yes, like, watch it.
Yes.
Like, this is an immediate, I will recommend this to anyone and everyone.
Interesting. It made $193.1 million worldwide.
Deserves every bit of it. Like, I think it's the 7th best-selling anime film of all time.
Nice.
And it deserves every bit of that.
Mm-hmm.
Which, Your Name is the number 1 grossing film of all time, if I'm not mistaken. Which is honestly weird, because I think Broly made 3rd.
I'm not sure.
If I remember correctly, I used to have all these stats memorized. Well, I say all these stats, only stats that I care about. Anyway, but yeah, I believe it's the 7th highest grossing anime film of all time, and it deserves every bit of that, like, hands down. This film is an absolute masterpiece. Shinkai directed it, wrote it, everything else, and he actually sought out new voice actors for this film, if I'm not mistaken, because he wanted to give a fresh start to people, but also he had, there are Easter eggs spread throughout this from his other films. Like, you actually get to meet Taki and Mitsuha in this film from Your Name. That's a nice little nod.
Mm-hmm. I didn't notice.
What?
I knew that it was going to happen, and then I forgot to pay attention.
I really want to hit my desk, but I don't want to disturb my living mates.
So disturb your dead ones. And, yeah, I forgot about it. It's got a 91% rating on Rotten Tomatoes, which is quite good, from the critics.
That's, like, for Rotten Tomatoes, that's really high.
Yeah, based on 85 reviews from critics.
Honestly, though, really high. Like, but it deserves to be higher. Like, it's... Minus my one issue with the English dubbing of this. Like, it's a masterpiece. Like, without a doubt. Like, soundtrack, 10 out of 10. Animation, 10 out of 10. Like, it's so good.
Yeah, there is one part of the animation that I do want to talk with you about. Specifically, there is a scene, this isn't spoiling anything, so don't need to worry about the spoiler warning yet. But specifically, there is a scene where there are fireworks playing overhead, and there is like a panning of the camera through
like how
the
it's
fireworks.
Drone footage, like going through the fireworks.
And to me, I found it personally a little bit jarring. Reason being, it seemed a bit like being on a roller coaster. You know those little movies that you get to see when you're in like Disneyland or something, and you watch those roller coasters? It felt like that.
You see, I was I thought it was really cool and innovative to see it in an anime film, because you never
really
see like drone type footage in any sort of like animated, like even with Disney stuff, you never see that kind of camera
Not
angle.
from the movies, no, yeah.
No. And so
but it did
I
remind
was
me of like
watching that and I was
when
just
you're
like,
in the ride.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But I was watching that and I was just like, holy shit. Like, it was really cool. Now, granted, it is a little bit jarring.
Yeah.
And if you get motion sick, like, you could potentially gather some sort of motion sickness from that, because it's really weird. But
it is weird. But I think the reason why we find it so weird is because it was so unique. It's something that I've genuinely never seen before in an anime, in a cartoon, in anything that isn't live action, really. And it really did take me back to being like strapped into a roller coaster ride in Disneyland and them showing you that movie of like you're like already on the roller coaster traveling, but you're just watching a screen, if you know what I mean. It felt like that. And I think that's because that's the only time that I've ever experienced anything that's anything like an animated drone footage. And so it does kind of like take you out of the moment, which I consider to be a negative in the fact that it takes you out of the movie. But I completely understand why it does, and that's because it's so unique, which to me is a positive. So I think it kind of neutralizes itself into become like into just being a thing. Because yeah, it did take me out of the film and out of the watching experience and made me into like being consciously aware of the fact that I'm watching a film.
I mean, I understand where you're coming from completely, but at the same time, like, it took me out of it just because as somebody who does digital art, like, I was in awe.
It was incredible.
Like, I didn't notice it whenever I watched it in theaters, or it didn't, like, strike me that much, because, again, like, I feel like I had a interesting theatrical experience with it because I was comparing it to your name the whole time, and that's not, and that's my own fault. But going into it last night, watching it, and then going into it today, taking notes, I just sat back and I noticed the drone footage, and my jaw may as well have been on the floor. I was just like, that is incredible.
Yeah, and I think that this is going to end up being one of those movies that is later on dissected by film students because of that moment. I think that that's going to become something that we see a lot more in anime and in cartoons and things like that. I feel like we're going to start seeing more things like that. My stomach just growled.
Will be amplified in post.
Oh no. But I feel like we are going to start seeing things like that specific piece of the drone footage in other kinds of anime and in other animated digitalized films. And so I feel like this film is going to be traced back by film students to be taught about, to be learnt about in the future. But it does create this weird moment of, oh, that's odd, while you're watching, purely because it's the first time you've ever seen anything like it.
And it's like, I agree with you in the fact that it's going to be dissected in the future, because we've talked about it before about how Studio Ghibli and Miyazaki was the standard bearer in what like anime should be, or that's how everybody kind of viewed it. Then you see the work that Shinkai does with animation and everything else, and about how now this is just my opinion, but Shinkai is the new standard bearer of what like the best animation technology is. Because the whole time watching this, like, I was genuinely in awe of like the cityscape animation and just the background. And we talked about this whenever we covered Kiki's Delivery Service, not so much with Spirited Away because we had a lot more story to talk about, but how like so much detail in Kiki's Delivery Service, for it having come out in the 80s, had so much attention to detail put into the background to where it never, like, everything just fit. Whereas with a lot of shows and whatnot, even today, the focus is mainly put on the characters and not necessarily the backgrounds. But this was one of those to where, like, so much focus was put into everything.
Specifically, one part that I noticed more than others were the plants throughout the film. There were the greenery absolutely everywhere. And I haven't really noticed that much detail going into plants, or not something where it's not being featured, you know, it's just in the shot.
Although one thing that was a little bit lacking compared to other things of Shinkai's that we watched was like attention to detail on a lot of the food.
Yeah.
Like it was, now don't get me wrong, like it's not bad or anything, but it's not the most visually appealing thing that we've seen out of the film.
Although I will say that there was a moment in it where our main character opens up a burger box and the burger springs up. And I remember watching that and thinking, oh, I wish that was reality.
Same.
Because it was a fast food joint burger, you know?
Oh, it was legitimately McDonald's. Like,
yeah.
The signs and everything even said Big Mac. And I was like, way to go.
Yep.
Honestly, though, there's a couple points in my notes to where I was just like, in big, bold letters, not sponsored by Apple, not sponsored by McDonald's.
Not sponsored by Yahoo.
Yeah. Like, there was so much attention to detail put into realism in this.
Absolutely sponsored, though. They even had, like, Forever 21 signs in the background. And normally, while you're watching an anime or something, they change them. So it's like Wookdonald's or, you know, just, like, little things. They change it so they don't have to pay to use it. But I guess this was big enough scale to where they could get people to pay for the product placement. And so I guess that's where a lot of their budget came from. It was the product placement that is throughout the film, because it is shown there are quite a few moments where you're like, product placement.
Mm-hmm. It's just, I could go on and on about the animation in this and about how the lighting and shading and everything, like there's just so much attention to detail and love and passion put into this film that I could carry on for ages just because it's, as someone who does digital art, like it's what I strive to achieve and have in what I do because it's just it's so good.
Absolutely. So I suppose that's where we will chuck up the spoiler warning and jump into the actual dissection of the film.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Brad and I, you've written notes on this one as well, right?
I have.
Yeah, so we've kind of collaborated because since I have a wrist injury...
You do?
I do, I know.
Shock.
My notes have not been as extensive as they normally would be, so Brad has been helping me out with writing some notes. So we're probably going to be going a little bit more back and forth than normal, because I normally tend to just, like, word vomit stuff out and then Brad chimes in. So, yeah, it'll probably be a little bit more of a collaborative effort going forth today. But we're starting off with, before any kind of opening credits or anything, you're presented with the image of a young girl who's visiting someone who is clearly very sick in a hospital. And she looks outside of the window and sees a bright sunbeam illuminating a building, despite all of the rain clouds covering the rest of the sky. She is intrigued by this sunbeam, so leaves the hospital and follows the beam to the building and walks up to the top of the building, gets to the roof, and sees that there is a shrine at the top of this building. And she walks towards this shrine and prays with her whole being and steps through the shrine gate and is then transported into the clouds, I guess.
Essentially.
Yeah, and then the opening credits roll. So that is the very first, scene that you see. Next, you're brought to a young boy who is covered in band-aids, who is aboard a ship that is travelling to a boat that's travelling to Tokyo, like a ferry. And he is standing on the top of the ship's deck, looking up at the sky, and you're hearing all of these, news broadcasts of saying, the weather's coming in, there's going to be a storm, and everyone else is moving inside of the ship, whereas he is going outside onto the deck so that he can stand below the clouds as the rain begins to pour. The ship gets rocked, a huge wave comes splashing over, and he nearly gets washed away with the wave, and it only is saved when an adult man catches his arm and stops him from sliding off of the deck, because he is an idiot child.
All I have in my notes for this point, and I have this written a few times throughout as well, I just have angry whale noises. Mm-hmm. Because this particular bit of phenomenon happens multiple times in the film of it's like the rain above characters gets caught. Yeah. And it's suspended, and then you hear angry whale noises. It's just how I'd have it written. And then it just all collapses. And in this case, it's like that giant downpour of basically getting hit by a giant wave that rocks the boat.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And so then the boy buys this man a meal to thank him. and buys him a beer as well. And this man's kind of like taking advantage of him a little bit, of his kindness. And the boy's saying, oh, you know, Tokyo's scary. And as they debark from... Debark? Is that the word? Leave the boat?
Yeah.
As they get off, they...
or disembark. The man gives, that's right.
Disembark, there we go. As they disembark the ferry, the man gives him his business card and says basically, hey kid, if you ever need any help, give us a bell. And call me. I'm sorry, slang just slipping in there.
I love it.
Yeah, give us a ring and let me know. And we find out that this boy is 16 years old and his name is Hodaka and he is on his own in Tokyo and doesn't really have any place to stay. He's looking for a part-time job. And he is very unsuccessfully trying to find one, trying to get a job, and ends up pretty down on his luck. No one's going to hire him. He doesn't have his student ID card, so they can't verify his age. And no one's willing to hire him without that for part-time work. So he ends up basically becoming homeless and is squatting outside of a club when in like the rubbish bin section when he kind of gets like bullied a bit and kicked over by I don't know a person who's working at the club, a bouncer or something.
I think he's the owner is kind of what I gathered from that.
The owner, yeah. And he knocks over a recycling bin, and as he's picking up all of the cans to go to put back in the recycling bin to set everything straight again, he comes across this like bag and it intrigues him, so he keeps it and walks to a McDonald's where he had frequented a couple of nights beforehand getting cheap meals, and he opens the bag and inside of the bag he finds a handgun, a pistol. I don't know guns.
It's a pistol.
He has a gun. And it shocks him, obviously, and he kind of like brushes it off as being a toy, but he keeps it because he's obviously has a gun in a McDonald's, so he like hides it away.
Not only that, but guns are illegal in Japan for civilians to own. So therefore, he's just like, oh shit.
Yeah. It's pretty much the same anywhere except America.
Hey man, we gotta have our guns. Yeehaw!
You gotta have your guns.
Hey, it's in our rights.
Yeah.
Anyway.
So he has this gun. He's scared of it. Obviously, he's a 16-year-old runaway kid. And so he hides it. And then this young girl, who we know is the girl from the beginning, comes over and gives him a free burger, a burger on the house. And she says, I've seen you. My stomach just growled. I promise I ate dinner.
I call this lies and slander.
I did. I had pesto pasta with vegan bacon and cheese. It was delicious.
I can't understand bacon that's not bacon.
It's fake bacon.
But it
doesn't really taste like bacon. But it tastes nice, but it's not like bacon.
Then it's not bacon.
Well, it's in bacon shape.
Look, fam, you know how Ginro and Dr. Stone was like, rules are rules. Well, bacon is bacon.
Yeah.
Anyway.
That's why it's bacon, though, because it's not real bacon, it's fake bacon.
Did you call it fakin'?
Yeah.
I need a drink. That's better. Oh.
But yeah, so she sets down this burger for him, and he's just like really, like that was just a really nice thing for him to have received. He needed that, you know, he needed that little bit of help that day. So he ends up calling the number on the business card for the gent and inquires about a job there. And he goes over, and the man and a young woman run a columnist editing company, writing articles on like supernatural phenomenon. And he is offered a job there for, he can live there, they'll feed him, and he just has to like clean the place and run some errands for them, that kind of thing.
Speaking of supernatural phenomenon and all this, you know who I bet would really enjoy this? like, enjoy this film. Yeah, like, I think James would love this, like, especially just for that little bit and what they talk about. I bet he'd love this.
For those who don't know, we are friends with James Salcedo, who is an author of paranormal ghost story books and things. And if you're intrigued by his work, you can Google him and Amazon him. His works are on there. You can purchase a book of spooky stories.
Yeah.
Written by a blind author. He is blind.
He's actually a phenomenal author. Seriously, if you're into sci-fi and supernatural stuff, like, please do check him out. I'm not just saying that because he's a friend of ours. His work's good. Shameless plug. Anyway.
Shameless plug, yeah. And yeah, so he ends up working for them and helping them with their current article that they're writing, a current work, which is based around a sunshine girl phenomenon. Basically, it is, as it says, it's a girl who can control the sun. She can bring sunshine no matter where she is. And so they're going around interviewing people, trying to learn more about this sunshine girl and the supernatural phenomenon that is the sunshine girl and the history behind it and the lore for it, so they can write their article on it, whether or not they actually believe in it. Because throughout this whole time where all of this is happening, no one really knows whether or not they believe in it or if they're making it up in their own heads. And I think that's a very human thing that they've portrayed throughout this film that I really enjoy.
Yeah, for it to be like a very sci-fi, like, supernatural-esque time, nobody believes in, like, these supernaturally things.
Yeah. Until even, like, our main character and the Sunshine Girl herself, until, like, the very last moments where they're like, okay, maybe that actually is. And then afterwards, they still kind of doubt themselves.
Especially, like, at the very end, like...
The very, very end, yeah.
Yeah. And also, like, even at this bit, like, while they're having all this stuff and they're interviewing all these people, Natsumi, who is the girl that's working there, like, she's all interested in all the interviews and everything they're doing, but Hodaka, our main character, is having absolutely none of it.
Yeah, he nearly turned down the job because of the fact that it was to do with supernatural stuff, despite the fact that it would the only thing that kept him on was the fact that they were going to feed him and board him. Yeah,
because he was... Like, he was all for, like, doing all the work and everything else, but he's sitting there and he's having to sit through all these interviews and he's just like, I hate everything.
Yeah, exactly. It was despite the fact that he had no other choice, no other job, nobody would take him. He was like, I still might turn this down because no. Which is very funny. One day, anyways, when he's walking through the streets of Tokyo, Haruka sees the burger girl from before being lured, kind of persuaded into this club from the creepy men who kicked him over earlier in the film. And she's kind of being persuaded into this back alley job, and you can tell it's really sketchy. And he's kind of watching from the sidelines, and he can tell that she is not really vibing with it. Like, she's not going there 100% willingly. And he recognizes her from being the girl who gave him the burger from working at McDonald's. So he runs past and grabs her arm, and he just tells her to run and make a break for it. And she's kind of pulling back. She's like, what are you doing? What's going on? Because she was there sort of willingly, kind of. And obviously she'd been coerced there, but she wasn't like, they didn't force her there, if you know what I mean. And so he grabs her arm and they run off. And these two creeps kind of corner them. And they end up pinning Hodaka on the ground, and they kind of beat him up a little bit. Not, like, incredibly so, but they hit him a couple of times. And he gets scared, obviously. He's a 16-year-old kid. And he pulls the gun on this guy. And he's pointing it at him. And the guy's going, haha, very funny, you've got a toy, like... I'm terrified. And he pulls the trigger, and it fires and shoots a bullet at the lamppost that is nearby, missing the guy, but it stuns the guy enough to, like, fall back and, like, not continue beating him up or whatever. And so the girl grabs Hodaka's hand and pulls him away, and the two of them run off together into, like, a abandoned parking garage kind of area. And she yells at him, basically, and says, you're an idiot, what the hell were you doing, like, pulling a gun on a guy, like, you could have killed him, and goes to storm off. And he kind of, the realization of what happened kind of hits him, and he, like, collapses into himself and sits on the floor, and he's just dealing with the exhaustion and the adrenaline and the fear, and everything's kind of like hitting him at once. And she comes back, she turns around and comes back, and she sees him, and she decides, you know what, he tried to save me. That's what he was doing. He was trying to save me. And she explains that she got fired from her job at McDonald's, and she just needed money. And she said she calls him a runaway, and he confirms it. So this is for the first time that fully confirmed that he is a runaway. And she takes his hand, and they go to the shrine from the very beginning of the film. And she shows him her abilities as a sunshine girl. She says, I bet you're not happy right now because of all of this rain. So let me provide you with a little bit of sunshine. And she prays, and the sun shines down and creates like a little beam of light on them. Yeah. And we also find out her name is Hina. After she shows him that she is a sunshine girl, she's the sunshine girl, she takes him to her house where he meets her younger brother, Nagi, and discovers that the two of them are living alone and there's no one else with them at the house. So Hina and Hiraka are both in need of money. So he presents the idea of starting a Sunshine Girl business together. So they make a website, basically getting people to pay for a clear day, because she can guarantee that they're going to have a clear day, and people can then get the weather that they need for their events. Because up until this point, I think for 2 months straight at this point, it had just been raining every single day in Tokyo. And it was like unprecedented. They end up becoming really successful and get booked for a big-time fireworks event where she actually gets like shown on TV. There's a little montage of different events that they go to, and she ends up getting shown on TV, and they become so overrun with requests that it's taking a toll on her body, and she's getting really tired, and they're just like overrun with them. So they decide that they're going to close down the business and look for other work elsewhere. And they both don't really want people knowing too much about them as well. Him for being a runaway, and her for reasons you'll find out later. Oh, and she's 18. She tells him that she's 18, he's 16, and so she teases him about paying her respect and calling her the right names and honorifics and everything. So we end up finding out that there's a detective searching for Hodaka because of the fact that he's a runaway, but also because of the fact that the security camera from the outside of the club event actually caught a photo of him, caught his face. So he's pinned, like he is aware that the guy in the security footage and Hodaka are the same person. He's aware that Hodaka has a missing person report filed for him, and he also knows that he is armed because of the footage in the security camera, and it's kind of assumed that the gun is associated with a different case that detective was working on, and then while the detective was searching for the gun, he discovered the security footage of him having the gun and kind of related the two together, and so now this detective is after him as a runaway, despite the fact that he hasn't really technically done too much wrong. I mean, he has done things wrong, but like not too much wrong. He's not after him for being a big time murderer or whatever. He's just looking for a runaway with a gun.
And after they make the decision that they're gonna stop, they have 2 last cases left, and one of the last cases that they decide to do with the Sunshine Girl job is actually for Taki from Your Name's grandmother.
Oh.
Yeah. Is it clicking as to who that was now?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. And so that's why, like, Taki wasn't fazed by any of that Sunshine Girl shit. He's just like, I've seen worse.
Right, yeah. Yeah. Right, okay, cool. And the other case that they did before they stopped was for the gent who put Hiroka up, gave him a job and everything, the guy you met on the boat. He's got a young daughter, his wife had passed away, he's got a young daughter who's living with her grandmother, and she has asthma, so he can't take her out when it's raining, and he doesn't get to visit her very often. So he asked for them to give them a day of sunshine so he could play with his daughter in the park. Officers end up arriving at Hina's apartment to question her about the fact that, Hiraka has been spotted around in the area. Have you seen him? Do you know him? They know that she knows him because she's also in the security footage, but they don't let her in on that. So they just ask her, do you know him? Have you seen him before? And she denies it. But while they're at the door, the officers have also looked into her, and they inform her that they're going to be back again tomorrow because they're aware of the fact that she's a minor and she's looking after her younger brother, and social services are going to be back tomorrow to deal with that situation. And she automatically thinks they're going to separate us. So the trio, the three of them, decide to run away together. This is kind of confirmed when Haraka ends up getting kicked out by Suga-san, who is Suga-san, who is the guy who put him up, gave him the space. He gets kicked out by him because they had also questioned him at his office, and he's trying to gain custody of his daughter. So he doesn't want the police sniffing around his area, and so he can't look after this kid anymore. So he's like, I'm sorry, you have to go. So he gives him some money and says, get out, basically, go home. Which I want to know your thoughts on why he ran away in the first place.
So it's mentioned a little bit later that he had a dream.
Mm-hmm.
And the dream was that he needed to chase this light across the ocean.
Mm-hmm.
And it was that kind of led him to Tokyo.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think that was partially his reason for running away, because he also said he also felt trapped on the island that he was on. He felt like he was suffocating.
Mm-hmm.
So he needed to get away, but also that dream of him being felt like he was led towards Tokyo. But I was also going to say, it's very much the same situation of Mitsuha from Your Name as well, of just feeling like they're meant to go someplace bigger and do other things.
Mm-hmm. Did you take any merit in the plasters that he had all over his face when he gets across the boat, when he's on the boat at the very beginning?
No. Because at first, I don't think he was... I don't think he was covered in bandages and everything until after he's almost yeeted off the boat. And then whenever he's sitting there with a dude, that's whenever I noticed he had the bandages and everything on his face.
Oh, now I'm curious because I could have sworn that he had them when he first was on the boat. Maybe I saw it wrong.
There's a lot of little bitty bits and nods and pieces in this film that if you don't pay close attention to, you miss.
100%, yeah.
Just like Hina's necklace.
Because he takes them off over a period of time when he's looking for a job, and that's how you can kind of tell how long it's been of him being like a squatter in Tokyo, is because he slowly starts taking off those plasters.
Mm-hmm. And just like with Hina's necklace that she's wearing throughout the film was actually her mother's that was on her wrist.
Mm-hmm.
And I kind of have a theory to talk with you about whenever we get through the film, towards what happens after the climax of the film, because I'm really curious to see if you noticed the little bit that I'm talking about, but also to see if you might have the same
conclusion.
Maybe?
Mm-hmm. But anyway, so yeah, the three of them decide that they're going to run away together. And they end up taking shelter in a love hotel. And right now, at this point, the heavens have opened. It is a downpour. The streets are flooding. There's hurricane warnings. Districts of Tokyo are being evacuated. It's snowing in areas. There's at least 2 foot of water on the ground everywhere throughout the city. It has been raining throughout the entire film up until this point, but at this point is the pinnacle. It is completely, the weather is destroying things. Everything. And so they're wading through the water to get to different places, and they're trying to get to a place to stay the night, the three of them. And they end up running into a couple of police officers before they get to this love hotel. And these police officers
turns into Thor.
She does, yeah. These police officers recognize Haruka and they try to arrest him. And he makes a break for it, telling the other two to run. But they don't. She goes and yeets the officer off of him, and he goes flying. And then when they try and pin him down and arrest him again, she goes, "No, please!" And she prays, and a bolt of lightning comes down from the sky and hits a truck nearby, and that explodes. And obviously the police officers then go and run to deal with that situation. So the trio escape. And they end up getting to this love hotel. It's the only place that'll accept them for the night. And they end up having a kind of a nice night together. They eat some good food, have a good bath, do some karaoke. And then after the younger brother, Nagi, goes to sleep, the two of them are sitting on the bed. And Haruka had actually bought previously a ring for Hina because it is her 18th birthday.
Speaking of buying this ring, did you notice who he bought the ring from?
Is that her?
It was Mitsuha from the first film. And not only that, she was wearing the exact same outfit that she was wearing whenever she ran into Taki at the end of Your Name.
So it could have been that very day.
Well,
except for the fact
the
that
timelines are like, it's really wonky what happens with the timelines. And even Makoto Shinkai said in an interview, because if you went to go see this film in theaters, you got an exclusive interview with Shinkai at the end. And he's talking about how, like, he doesn't care that his timelines are warped or what sort of multiverse theory there is out there about his films. But so technically the ending of Your Name took place in 2024.
Mm-hmm.
And the ending of this film takes place in 2023. So
Right.
the climax of where we're at now is technically taking place next year for us, or 2021.
Mm-hmm.
So funny roundabout
Stranger
storytelling.
things have happened. I honestly wouldn't be surprised if Tokyo decides to flood itself.
I mean, right?
I
It
mean,
is an
after-
island.
After murder hornets, after pandemic, after possible World War III this year, I don't think anything's going to surprise us anymore.
Honestly, though, like, do you get the feeling that somebody is going back in time and trying to fix shit?
Yeah, butterfly effect. I'm actually wearing a t-shirt covered in butterflies right now.
What do you know? Speaking of butterflies, ReZero, you need to watch it. Anyway.
Yeah, so, the three of them end up taking shelter, and while they're in shelter, he manages to give her her birthday present and says, you know, happy 18th birthday, and he prays to God, saying, I'm okay with what we have right now. Like, we don't need anything more than this. Just the three of us together. We'll be fine. We don't need anything else. Please don't take anything from us. Don't give us anything else. Just leave us as we are. This is fine. And she ends up asking him, and she tells him that while she was doing one of her sunshine jobs, the girl who was working for the editing company, who was actually really interested in all of the editing, in the Sunshine Girl stuff, and she's like the only one that actually has any belief in it to start with. She was saying that Sunshine Girl is a sacrifice. Every now and then you have to sacrifice a girl to the gods for the weather to remain as we want it. And Haraka is like, okay, yeah, but that's bull. Like, load off, right? And she goes, but no, it's not actually. And she disrobes, and her body is turned translucent and is like water, basically, in sections. Which is where I was talking about the body paint cosplay would be so sick to do because her body is translucent. And so he's stunned, and they hold each other and cry, and it's adorable and sad and so many emotions. And they lie down to go to sleep, and as they lie down, she asks him, are you fine with this rain? Do you want the rain to go? And he says, I mean, yeah, I want the rain to stop. When they wake up in the morning, she is gone. She is no longer there, and the police are knocking at the door of this motel. Nagi is like, what is going on? Where's my sister? And Tanaka's panicking because she's just gone. The police arrest him, and they take Nagi into custody and into like social services, and they take him down to the police station, Tanaka down to the police station. While he's at the police station, these police officers are, I don't know if they just expected him to be chill or whatever, but they didn't handcuff him, they didn't guard him or whatever. They were just like, hey, go into that room, and he's like, nah, thanks, and just runs away out of the building. Just leaves, just like, I'm chill, like, it's cool. They try and chase him, but they're not very fast. And all of these other police officers, like, there are other people, like, he runs past, like, 4 police officers, and they're yelling, stop him! And these police officers just, like, watch as he runs by. Just like, not my job. I'm on desk duty. Like, I don't care. I'm not getting paid enough for that.
Yeah, it kind of, like, breaks your immersion a little bit with that, too, because you're just like, these cops suck.
They don't care. They're like, I am not getting paid for this. Like, I am on lunch break, mate. Like, I am not chasing that kid. And these detectives and other officers are, like, running past, like, stop him! And they're just like, nah, I'm cool. And so he runs through the streets. And as he's running through the streets, he's screaming for her. He's like, you know, where are you? I've got to find you. I know where you are. I can get to you. I'm going to save you. I know you've sacrificed yourself. I'm going to get you. I'm going to get you. And he's running. As he's running, he's getting chased. He tries to get a bicycle. Bicycle's chained. Can't get the bicycle. He keeps running. And he runs into the girl from The Office. I don't actually remember her name. Do you have her name written down?
Natsumi,
okay. So he runs into her, and she is driving on her little scooter, and she's like, hey, what are you up to? And he's like, I need to get her back. I need to save her. And she's like, okay, hop on the back. We're gonna go for a ride. And she, like, Fast and Furious is this bitch. Like, car chase, but the other guys are on legs. And she's on a scooter, and she, like, they do eventually get in cars and they start chasing. She's going down staircases. She's, like, going off train tracks. She's like, I was meant for this. This is the excitement I needed in my boring ass life. And I'm like, Queen, love you. And so she ends up driving her scooter into like basically a river now that was one of the streets. And she's like, go for it, mate. And he hops a fence and he's on the train tracks and he is running. And when I say that this boy, he marathoned this, like he was running for forever. I was getting exhausted just watching. So she drives into a river and he hops a fence and he's running through these train tracks. And when I say this boy can run, he was running for so long, I was getting exhausted just watching because, like, he was running for a long ass time down them tracks, like miles. And everyone's just like, hey, you shouldn't be running on those tracks. And he's like, still running. And these other people are like, you're gonna get arrested for running on these tracks. And he's just still running. And all these train workers are like, it's cool.
I'll have in my notes, it's like, this boy can run. Like, I need his stamina. Holy shit. Yeah, he does. Like, he literally runs across Tokyo. Literally.
Yeah. And my favorite thing is the train workers that are like, hey, kid, you can't be on the track.
But they don't try to stop him. Like, he's just, like, running.
He's just still running. And none of the trains are running. Like, they're not active because of the amount of flooding and stuff. And all the transportation's been shut down. Yeah, because there's some, like... So it's not like he's in any...
There's some news reports before this, like, as he's being escorted out of the hotel, like, you get news reportings in the background of everything going on in the world. They're like, it's going to take 2 months for the trams and everything to be restored. So that's what they're doing.
Oh, yeah, and they're like, hey, it's dangerous, kid. And then they just let him be. Minding their own. And yeah, so he's running and he's trying to get to the shrine that she brought him to at the very beginning because he thinks that is where it all connected. That's where it all started. Because it turns out that her mum had actually passed away, as mentioned a little bit earlier, I forgot to bring up. And the reason why she went to that shrine is because she was asking for just one more day in the sun to be able to hold her mum's hand in the sun together before her mum passed away. And so that's why when the sun kind of shone on that shrine, she was attracted to go there and then wished with her entire being for it to be a sunny day. And that's when she was connected to the weather. And so Hanaka knows this story and he knows that that's where it all began for her and that's where it all began for the two of them. And so he says, if I'm going to get her back from her sacrificing herself to the weather, that is where I'm going to have to go to get her back. So he goes to this building and for some reason, Suga is there and Suga-sen is there, the guy who took him in. And I don't actually know how he even know that that's where he was going to be. Maybe, I guess he told him because of the article, but I
think his, because before this, the older detective goes and visits Mr. Suga. But before that, you see a scene of Mr. Suga and his daughter on the phone. And his daughter says that she had a dream about Hina that night. And whenever that happens, as he's sitting there, it flashes just for a second of the building with the shrine on top of it. So I don't know if he also had the same dream and that was the image that popped in his head. Like, it doesn't explain it. But I think that's really the only connection because it talks about how that night everybody that was connected with Hina had a dream.
All had that same dream.
I don't know if it was all the same dream, but they all dreamed of her. And so it's just like, that's a really weird connection, but I like it. Like, there's so much little connecting pieces in this that are just, it's so good.
Yeah, absolutely. And so he goes to the shrine and as he gets there, Suga is there and Suga tries to stop him from going to the top of the building and says, look, if you just turn yourself into the police right now, it'll be fine. You can go back to normal. And he's going, no, I want to see her. And he's like, no, you can't. I'm going to take you to the police station. Like, we're going to get this sorted. You'll be fine. He's like, no, I have to get to the top of the shrine. He's fighting. And it takes so long that the police all kind of gather around the building and they storm him. And he's pulled the gun on Suga now. And he's terrified and so upset and distraught. And the police officers end up, taking him down and getting the gun away from him and pinning him. And Suga just sees this whole mess and he hears him say, "I just want to see her one more time," and which reminds him of his late wife. And he also yeets the police officer off of him, just body slams 2 of them off of him. And Hanoka takes this opportunity to jump onto the escape stairs, the fire exit stairs. The land of the stairs almost fall through, get destroyed. He runs up to the top of the building and gets through the shrine. And when he gets through the shrine, he's transported up into the world that we saw above the clouds in the sky. And where he meets her again, and she's half translucent, half not, crying in a field of grass, and he says, "Jump," and she jumps. And this is a pet peeve of mine that bugged me about the film. He's got one handcuff on his hand, right? The other one's loose, but he's got one cuff on from where the police officers got him. And he's trying to hold on to her hands. And they're falling through the sky at a rapid rate. And she keeps getting they slips hand, and he gets her a hold of her again, and she slips out. And I'm like, just put that handcuff around her wrist, mate.
Well, here's the thing, though, because they keep coming apart at times. So could you imagine if he put that handcuff on her and, somebody's shoulder gets pulled out of socket? I mean, come on now.
I know, but I still would have done it without thinking about it. And I was yelling at him to do that. I was like,
yeah, but it's there's potential for injury there. You can't, no.
I wouldn't have thought of that in the moment, though. I'd have just thought, I need you by my side, so I'm going to cuff you to me, and then, sorry, you don't have an arm anymore. I wouldn't have thought of
Selfish.
it. I wouldn't have. I would have just thought, they need to be next to me. I need to strap them to me. I have a handcuff around my wrist. That would have been my entire thought process. But anyways, apparently you're smarter than me, didn't consider that.
No, because the thought crossed my mind whenever I watched it in theaters, but I sat down to talk about it. I was like, no, big brain. Because, like you said, what if their arm did come off? Then you have to live with the guilt of somebody having their arm ripped off. Not only did you doom the world, but now their arm's off. You went through all that trouble to save them, and then their arm's off. Or what if your arm came off? How would you feel then?
Handy.
Oh.
So anyways, they end up at the top of this building. And it kind of flashes forward 3 years here. I don't know. It's not, properly linear.
Well, he talks about it because he's like, we got arrested. I got put on probation. I couldn't leave. I couldn't leave the island.
For 3 years.
Yeah, until he turned 18 and graduated.
Mm-hmm. And we also find out that she was actually 15. Forgot to mention that. She's not 18. She's 15. He finds that out in the back of the cop car going to the police station. That, yeah, she's 15. And, yeah, so they end up... He gets her back, but because she wasn't sacrificed to the gods, the weather continues to wreak havoc. And Tokyo is ending up drowning, basically. Drowning. It's sinking because of the amount of rain. And yeah, so he never actually got chance to see her again after that. They were both unconscious when they fell back from the sky. He never got a chance to see her. And he has the ring that he gave her. And her necklace broke, the necklace that you were talking about earlier.
Mm-hmm. So you did catch that little bit.
I did catch that her necklace was broken. And then, yeah, so he then finally gets to go back to Tokyo. He almost gets a love confession from somebody else. And he always gets to go back to Tokyo. He hops the boat as soon as his probation is over after 3 years, and he kind of reunites with everyone else first. And they tell him, just go see her, you. And I don't actually know if that's a word that I'm allowed to say on this podcast, so best cut that out. I don't really know what it means anymore, but I'm learning that certain British slang that I learned when I was little is not PC. So, because I never learnt what it meant, I just learnt that people said it because I was so young.
And what did she say it was?
I don't know what it means. It means stupid, but I don't know if it's associated with something not good. Anyways, so they say, just go see her, and he ends up doing so. And she's standing there at the top of the hill, and he sees her, and he calls out to her, and she turns to face him, and her hood falls down, and her hair falls free, and she runs to him, and hugs him, and they spin around in a cute little happy romance moment, and that's the end. It's the end of the film.
So good.
So good. So good. Okay, so theories.
So, what if Hina's mother was also a Sunshine Maiden. And so that's why, like, her mother had that same wristband, but before her mother passed away, she went through the shrine and she became a Sunshine Maiden herself. Because obviously the rain cleared up, and then it started downpouring again after she herself became the Shrine Maiden. Because whenever they talked to the old man, had like the old man talked about how every village had their own Sunshine Girl or Weather Maiden. So it just kind of got passed down from mother to daughter because daughter was dumb and walked through a shrine arch. And so whenever she like came through the clouds with Hodoka, like the reason the necklace broke is because she kind of broke the cycle, maybe. I don't know. Like, I looked at that as that was like being symbolic of her like breaking free from her fate.
Yeah, I did see, I think that is kind of some sort of symbolism. I'm not sure how it ties with her mother, though, because if all Weather Girl's sacrifices are them living up in the clouds alone, which is horrible, it's a horrible fate, she died in a hospital bed, and I don't know if that's just, like, they can be sacrificed in multiple ways, but yeah, I thought that it was different.
And also, let's talk about the choice that Hodoka made for a minute. Like, this dude literally chose the fate of Tokyo. Like, he chose love over the fate of an entire island. Like, there's no telling how many people died. Like, there's a lot of thoughts that go into this, but that's like...
How many billions of dollars in damages?
Yeah, but...
The entire city of Tokyo is now flooded.
Yeah, but yet whenever they cut back to it, like, people have obviously adapted and moved on from it. But it's such a weird thought to sit back and think of, like, it's definitely a moral choice. And it's interesting to think of what people would actually choose had they been in that situation. Like, would you choose...
Especially as young as they are.
Like, would you choose the fate of the world or, you know, your home country over a person? Like, would you be selfish enough to choose, like, your love over... like the lives of thousands to hundreds of thousands to millions of people. So it's an interesting thought. And I think that it was very interestingly portrayed. But also, I feel like if people sit down and think of it rationally, like people just think, oh, you know, I, you know, would sacrifice, you know, a person, especially since since Hina made the conscious choice to go. Like, why would you go against those wishes to have all of that back? But it's interesting that they chose, or that Shinkai chose that ending to that story.
Well, I don't think that, I mean, obviously he wasn't thinking rationally at all by that point in the story. I don't think that you would consider it, really, like the fate of other people. I think you would just think about you in that moment. You just think about her. Because you're so emotionally disconnected from everything else. You wouldn't consider the lives of other people because it wouldn't even occur to you that other people exist in that moment. Well,
also to him, too, like, Hina and Nagi were really all that he had. Because Suga turned his back on him. Natsumi, like, did what she could to help him, but she, like, was focused on other things. So, really, Hina was all that he had. So that was kind of, like, of course, to him, that was the obvious choice to make. But still, that's crazy to just sit down and think about, like, as a whole, like what that would mean had you been in those shoes.
Absolutely.
So, overall thoughts, grades, etc.
Ooh, I'm gonna give it a 9 out of 10. I don't think it reaches a full 10 out of 10. I don't think I've actually given anything a full 10 out of 10 so far on this podcast. Nope. I think I've said, oh my god, that's a 10 out of 10, and then later redacted it and been like, okay, no, but realistically, I was just excited. There are a couple of things in here. Like I said, I did find that moving the drone footage, I did find it slightly jarring. It did take me out of the watching experience. And the police officers not interacting with him as he's running through also took me out of the watching experience. And yeah, there are a couple of other little things that are just teeny tiny little things like that just stop it from being a 10 out of 10 for me. But I do absolutely think this is my favourite of his films so far. And I really like how it is a little bit more, like, I don't know, it's a little bit more action-packed, a little bit more, like, action-based with a car chase and gunfights and stuff. That was cool. Yeah, no, I enjoyed it a lot. What about you?
So, animation and soundtrack, like I said, are both 10 out of 10. Like, to me, Like, although that drone footage was jarring, quote unquote, it was still, words.
Incredible.
It was absolutely incredible, but not only that, it was innovative to the point to where it was jarring. So I can't take points off of that by any means. The soundtrack suited every single bit. Like, it was on par with Your Name, and especially Your Lie in April, about how, like, the soundtrack only added to it. It never, like, took away from it or anything at all. So definitely 10 out of 10. Little story moments that kind of, like, pull you out of it here or there, that kind of knock the grade back a little bit. But 9.5 out of 10, like, solid, masterful piece of work. But yeah, without a doubt, like, I struggled over whether this one was going to overtake Your Name in my mind as, like, my favorite anime film of all time. So it was, it was definitely incredible. I'm definitely glad that you enjoyed this.
I really did.
So overall, like, it was a really good experience.
It was, absolutely.
But, so, next week's topic. Are you excited? Have I sent you the trailer for what we're covering next week?
Maybe. I don't know.
For some reason, I guess I decided to make August the month for romance films. But Ride Your Wave is an interesting take on it, if it's the film that I'm thinking of. I can't.
Right, okay.
I'm not 100% certain if it's the one that I'm thinking of, because there was a lot of films coming out at the same time that I saw previews of. So I don't want to give a description on it and be wrong.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Maybe future me needs to edit in an actual description here. Or just cut out this whole section. I don't know. But anyway, next week, Ride Your Wave. I'm looking forward to it. I think it'll be good. The art style on it, if it's what I'm thinking of, is different than what we're used to looking at and covering. So I think it'll be a good time. I hope you enjoy it. I've been looking forward to it. I haven't seen it. I had a chance to go see it in theaters, but since I was living in the middle of bumfuck nowhere in Georgia, like, there was no way in hell I was going to see it there, and I wasn't going to come back to Chattanooga to watch something that was, that wasn't like some huge anime title. But I think it'd be good. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, me too.
But then, outside of that, I think that's everything. Unless there's something else that you want to add.
Else? No, I have none.
Yatta! So,
Yatta!
You can find the absolutely lovely Blue Lavender Monday through Saturday at twitch.tv/Blue Lavender, streaming anything from Minecraft to art to Spyro on Tuesdays from 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. You can also find her on Instagram and Twitter at Blue Lavender STM.
And TikTok as well.
Yes.
Under that same handle. Yeah, because I'm down with the kids.
You are definitely hip and cool, yo.
I'm totally rad, dude.
Yes. And she also has a YouTube channel where she uploads all of her art videos and turns them into speed sketches. And they are really cool to sit back and watch. Are you going to do any of your paintings on there as well instead of just turning them into TikToks?
The ones that I did on stream, I'm going to upload there. The ones that I have turned into TikToks, I probably am not going to, purely because they are vertically filmed as opposed to horizontally filmed, and that would be frustrating to watch on YouTube, I'm sure. Yeah,
I'm sure that wouldn't translate well to people like me who like to cast their YouTube videos up on TVs.
Yeah, so... yeah, some will, some won't. If you want to see pretty much all of my art content, that's going to be on TikTok. And then select few gets posted on Instagram and on YouTube.
If you would like to see slower speed sketches, you can find those on YouTube. Instead of being cut down to 1 minute, because that's going to be super speedy. Especially with your sketches, stuff that takes you between 5 to 9 hours.
Yeah, they get super speedy.
Yeah.
And then if you want to find that dude over there, Brad, you can find him.
I'm relegated to that dude over there.
That dude over there. If you want to find him, he's pretty much only on Instagram these days, at Brad Carter Gaming, and he also has an Instagram for his cactus, at The Adorable Prick. And if you enjoy memes, he also runs our podcast Instagram, where he posts a new, fresh, original content of memes and some ones that he finds on the Tinternet. over on our Instagram.
And you can also find me basically running the Twitter account now as well.
I know, I'm rubbish.
Look,
I'm rubbish.
You're not rubbish. You're just giving me all the jobs to do, trying to make me grow and be better as a social media influencer. Yeah, that's it.
I'm rubbish. I'm rubbish. I will tweet more and be better at crap.
You're gonna be better at crap?
Prunes. Yeah, but yeah, you're not really on much else right now, are you? You're just kind of on Instagram.
Yeah, I'm spending a lot of time with friends and family.
How dare you?
I'm still getting more anime watched than you, fam.
That's very true. That's very true.
I'm getting my job done.
You are. I'm not. I'm being rubbish. But yeah, if you want to find Brad, he's over there running the shiz. And we also have a website. If you like us, I don't know why, but we have a website, and we have some, like, a bio of about us is on there, pictures of us if you want to see our ugly mugs, and some other fun stuff, some friends podcasts. You can actually find the link to James's books, I think, on there in the Friends of the Show section, I'm pretty sure.
I think so. And then also, speaking of friends who also have podcasts, I will be appearing on Tales of the Fandoms podcast on August 31st. So a few Mondays. I think it's going to be 3 weeks from when this episode goes live on the following Monday.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we'll be posting all of the links to it on our socials. So as soon as that comes out, if you follow us on Twitter or Instagram, you'll see it there.
Mm-hmm. And then we also have a YouTube channel where we upload all of our podcasts. The thumbnails on there are top notch. Like, that's one of my favorite things about the podcast is just seeing how those thumbnails turn out. Those are legit.
My favorite thing about the podcast is photographs. I don't like anything to do with the talking.
I said one of. Obviously, this is my favorite bits, the bullshit banter with you. Essentially, you're my favorite part about this. So serious. I don't like my parts of this.
Oh, I like your parts. That's all. Yep. That's gonna be clipped. That's fantastic.
Yes. Oh, definitely. Blackmail for ages.
Oh God, what have I done? What have I done? Bloody hell. Bloody hell, mate. Okay, yeah, let's go home. I need to go home. I'm home. I need to go home. I should have taken more water with it.
Oh, that was amazing. Oh, you never living that one down.
Oh God. Jesus Christ. Right. I shouldn't acknowledge them. It's because I acknowledge them that they get so much worse. If I just let it be, then it'd be fine. But I don't, because my brain automatically goes, shouldn't have said that. And then I have to vocalise that, because of course I can't keep that in my own gob. Bloody hell! What?
Honestly, though, had you not immediately, like, thrown yourself into the gutter on that one, I was just gonna be like, "Aw, how sweet!" But then you immediately threw it into the gutter. You did that to yourself.
God. I need to fish my own self out. Like, bloody... Okay.
So, now that Blue is done breaking herself, thank you all so much for listening. Blue and I greatly appreciate it. Next week, Ride Your Wave will be coming to you on Sunday, so look forward to that. However, that's all we have for this one, and we'll catch y'all next time. Bye-bye!
Bye!